Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another podcast, and we've got some wonderful people here to join with us. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button so you get all the different notifications of the new podcast we put out on the Chris Voss Show. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, and now on TuneIn. And also go to patreon.com/Chris Voss so you can take and subscribe to our channel there. We've got a super interesting person that I am just becoming aware of. His name is Dan Pena. He's the $50 billion man. And this gentleman is the chairman and founder of the Guthrie Group, an investment consortium specializing in facilitating transactions that were founded in 1997. He does a lot of different things. We're going to find out more about him. He's the Laird of Guthrie Castle. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing Laird properly. And the $50 billion man, he's the founder of Quantum Leap Advantage, a revolutionary method for super success over 24 years with a proven track record that's produced $50 billion of equity value since 1993, which is likely why they call him the $50 billion man. Welcome to the show, Dan. We're glad to have you, and we're excited to get to know more about you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, you're a very well-dressed gentleman as well, from what I've seen in your videos and some of the different media that I've seen. You must have a great tailor.
I do, actually. He's from London.
Well, there you go. So you're based in London, is that correct?
No, I'm based in Scotland.
Based
in
Scotland.
Guthrie Castle, up about 450 miles due north of London, in just below the Highlands of Scotland.
Well, there you go. So you're Scottish by nature. Do you enjoy that fine beverage you guys have there, that Scotch?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to be greeting members of my seminar that starts in a couple hours with that same beverage that you're alluding to.
Cool. Sounds great then. So where people can see you is, I believe, danpena.com. Is that correct?
Correct. That's
okay. Correct. And so you can find them on there.
Well, danpena.com or danpena.co.uk.
Exactly. So you can find him on either of those websites. And he's got a really interesting background. He's been on a lot of great podcasts. So for the layman or person in our audience that's never heard or met you before, give us an idea of who you are and what it is that you want to share with us.
Well, about 50 years ago, more or less, I was a barrio bad boy. I was raised in East Los Angeles, got in a lot of trouble, arrested several times, flunked out of university 3 times, and went off to the military, volunteered for the draft at the height of the Vietnam crisis. And I came out, they made me an officer and a gentleman. I went through officer's training, and I came back, went to Wall Street. I finished school first, then I went to Wall Street. And the rest is more or less history, as you can Google me. But in 1992, I was thrown out unceremoniously from the company I founded. That I took about $820 and I turned it into about $500 million in 8 years in a collapsing market. And I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I decided I tried to teach university for a year, and I found that very unfulfilling. So one of my very good friends said, well, why don't you coach meatheads? And I said, and it was just the beginning of the Snowflake generation, just beginning. And so I went to, after my university fiasco for 1 year, I taught honors class where I went to school, and I started QLA. And since 1993, almost 25 years now, I've created over $50 billion with people just like you and your audience. And I used to give seminars all over the world. I've been in business with the Kuwaitis, the Yemens, the Israelis, the Vatican, the United States government, the Mexican government, the Canadian government, the Japanese government, a lot of the Fortune 50 companies. And I decided after about the turn of the century, 2000, that I didn't want to travel all over the world doing that anymore. And so I just started giving my exclusive week-long, it's now 8 days long, seminar here at my home, Guthrie Castle, which is a 15th century storybook home. Was the first stone was laid in 1468.
Wow.
Before Columbus discovered North America. And I've been here ever since, and we've put out some pretty spectacular alumni, not the least of which, just last week, if you've been reading, the new mega city in Saudi Arabia called NEOM, N-E-O-M. The founding chief executive is my mentee, Dr. Klaus Kleinfeld. So the person to do the first $500 billion deal ever on the planet. And as you alluded to, I've been on some, I guess I'm no judge of who's got a good or a bad podcast. I think I've been on some pretty recognizable podcasts. And I'm spreading the word. Recently, I've devoted 2/3 of my time to pro bono. I speak at universities all over the world for free. I've got, and it all started last year when Oxford University asked me to speak, which I thought was a joke. When they called here and they said, I talked to my state manager, they said, we'd like to have Mr. Pena to come and speak to us later on this year. And so I got on the phone and I said, I thought somebody was yanking my chain. And I said, is this my Rhodes Scholarship been lost in the post? Lost in the mail? Am I just getting it now? And to make a long story short, I did speak there a year ago in May last year. And that gave me the idea, and it went very, very well, and it was very well received. And so I decided that this would be a good venue for me to speak at universities for free. I travel there on my own nickel. Nobody pays me. And I just got back from University of Toronto, where I spoke, and it was very well received. And I've spoken at a few other universities in between. And in the next month, actually, I'm speaking in Poland, in London, and actually in Scotland at the University of Edinburgh. And so that's 2/3 of my time. 1/3 of my time is overlooking my own portfolio, my own investments. And I give a week-long seminar, which has become infamous more or less, because the seminar you have to pay, but the mentoring for a year is for free. Now, all my products free. Everything I've said so far is free. Don't come to my seminar. They're fully booked. But don't do me a favor. Do us both a favor. Don't come. Don't sign up. Okay. I'm not here to sell my seminar. Okay. But all my products free. So several years ago, I went from the most expensive product, for example, $7,000, $8,000 for a package. You know, it cost me 25 cents to produce on CDs. And now it's free. So several years ago, I made it all free, and you can get it all on my site. I have a library on my site where you can, which is digitized. And so 99.999% of all the people that have made that $50 billion, I've never met. I wouldn't know them if they came in and pissed on my foot. But it's the 0.1% of the kids that have come to the seminar. Now, I would be disingenuous if I didn't tell you the billionaires I produced, I've all laid my hands like God on. I don't know any billionaires that have done it on their own just for my free material, i.e. the guy that just created the $500 billion deal, Dr. Klaus Kleinfeld. That's what I do. And until they put dirt on me, I'm going to spread the word for free as much as I can. I don't go on a lot of podcasts, but I've been on, in the last few years, I've probably been on 30, and as you mentioned, and I enjoy the hell out of it. And but that's my story in a nutshell. But it's the original rags to riches.
Nice.
From a barrio bad boy in East LA to Laird of Guthrie Castle, and showing you guys how to create generational wealth. Not internet, e-commerce wealth or anything like that. But that's my story in a nutshell.
Well, it's great that you share that information at colleges and things. I'm looking at your website. You have a lot of cool stuff here. Take the success test, how to get the fucking money, deal flow. Let's see, the path to super success. I think I kind of got a little giggle because it says the path to super success, and it says in really big words, fucking. I can tell fucking is your favorite word, or might be your favorite word.
One of my favorite words, yeah.
Is that because that word just has so much great punch? It wakes people up. It kind of makes.
No, quite frankly, contrary. See, I believe political correctness is a manifestation of lack of self-esteem. And 30 years ago, everybody talked that way. All the Fortune 500 CEOs talked that way.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because they have to have a public persona and their sound bites, they talk for sound bites. Well, I'm not selling anything. I don't give a fuck what the kids think of me. I really don't. Fuck them. And the horse they rode in on. I mean, so I tell you how it is.
Yeah.
And all the guys that I talk to off camera talk like me.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk's favorite word is fuck. I mean,
I imagine it would be with as many rockets he's put in the sea.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine when the second rocket went down in smoke, or up in smoke, however? Fuck, what's going on? And so and they're all hard drivers. If anybody wants to know how a big high charging CEO is, look at the biography of Bezos from Amazon. There was a great New York Times article last year about what a hard son of a bitch he is. 80-hour work week is the norm to get considered for promotion, 90-hour to get promoted, 100-hour work week. And that's the way it is, except when you're trying to sell something, you can't talk that way. But I don't give a shit. I'm not trying to sell anything. I mean, what are they going to do to me? I'm already super rich. I've already been in the military. I'm in a vet. I did 7 years in the military. There's nothing they can do with me. And I've been very, very successful in creating wealth through equity and value. There's nobody that even comes close to me in numbers. Nobody talks about numbers because nobody's created any numbers.
So
I've created a load of numbers. And I'm not talking about $2,000 a month on e-commerce or some jerk bullshit like that. I've got e-commerce kids that are netting 5, 6, 7 million a month.
Wow.
5, 6, 7 million a month. I got kids in their early 20s that turned down $20 million for the 10% of their company.
Wow.
I've got teenage millionaires. And, so, I mean, I don't give a shit. I really don't. And
so if I want to take a look at coming to your seminar, the 8-day thing that you do,
right.
what sort of person am I? What am I looking for? What am I?
I mean, I'll tell you, I'll just give you the group that is arriving behind me. As I speak, there's a couple of kids that are just checking in. Okay, we've got kids from all over the world. Now, this is an unusual group because we've got 5 women. Normally, we've got 15 people, and so a third of them are women, and that's very unusual. That's not normally the case. Normally, you only have 1 or 2 women. But we've got doctor, a vascular surgeon. We've got the CEO of a industrial manufacturing company. We've got 2 or 3 that have nothing, but an idea. We've got a couple of students. We normally let 10, 15% of the seminar attendees be students and active duty military. We don't have any active duty military in this group. Mm-hmm. And the students in the active duty military get a big discount. Mm-hmm. Or if you're recently out of the military, but within 3 years of being released, you get the military discount as well.
Oh, wow.
But for example, the vascular surgeon, who's very successful, makes a lot of money. He doesn't want to cut on people anymore. He wants to build something, and there's not much to build in a surgery practice other than selling to another surgeon, right? Mm-hmm. So he wants to buy hospitals. So so he says. So I mean, it's everything. We've had priests, we've had monks. We've had a guy from the French Foreign Legion. We've had, you name it. We've had podcast fuckers, that don't have a pot to piss in their window to throw it out of. We've had all kinds, and we've had hookers. We've had convicted murderers. They did their time. They paid their price to society. The only thing we won't take We don't take pedophiles, even if you say you're converted. And we will not take, and it's not because I'm against transgender, but transgender confuses the mix too much.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I don't give a shit what you are. But I mean, that confuses stuff in the seminar. But everybody else we take, you know, black, white, yellow, pink, blue. We got the one from Vietnam, this group. We got one from China. We got one from Japan.
Uh-huh. I'd be concerned if you had blue people, though, in your group. You might want to.
Well, I use that as a metaphor only.
I know.
We've had some people that should have been blue. I swear to you that I think we've had an alien or two, for sure.
Well, I think any politician these days is rumored to be an alien, so that could be true.
Well, and one of the things, and I've got, after I get to have the pleasure of talking to you, I've got an interview right here, and they want to know why I said on the election day, and I just put it out on a tweet, I predicted the greatest transformation of wealth since World War II when Trump got elected a year ago today. And what have we had? Virtually all the stock markets are up. The American market's up more than $5 trillion. We've got the lowest unemployment in 17 years. How come I knew that? Okay. I predicted when oil was $120 a barrel 3 years ago, it would go to 40. How did I know that? And so I'm adept. I'm not an economist by any stretch of the imagination, although I'm appearing next year in Washington, D.C. at an economic forum of Nobel laureate economists, which I'm expecting them to renege on the invitation anytime at a prestigious university in Washington, D.C., because they want to know how come I knew these things. I knew Trump 25 years ago, in full disclosure. I haven't seen him in 20 years, but I know how he thinks. And 17 of the 20 things I said he would do when he got elected, he's done. 17 of the 20. But it doesn't take a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, if you understand supply side economics and you're not a fucking moron, you understand that. You know what the hell Keynesian was talking about. But the truth of the matter is, most people don't.
I predicted he would keep tweeting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, now it's 280 characters per tweet.
Oh, God. Yeah, I just got the 280 update yesterday from Twitter, and everybody who knows me is like, "Oh God, Chris just got 280 characters. Look out, world!" And I'm like, "Don't worry about me. Worry about Trump. He just got
Correct. And I don't agree with everything Donald says, but I mean, the America needed shaking up.
We're getting a shakeup, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we're getting a shakeup.
So you've had some amazing students. The current sitting governor of Florida, Mr. Dan Locke. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
No. Rick Scott.
Okay.
Rick Scott.
And what did you teach them? What did you give them that helped make them successful?
Well, I mean, Rick used to be my lawyer.
Uh-huh.
He was my transaction lawyer. And he said one day at the Park Lane Hotel about 30 more or less years ago, he says, Dan, I need to make the same money you make. How do I do this? You got to leave me. Now, see, not you, but we train people up. We don't want them to leave. I train people and I want them to leave. I push them out the door. I want the kids to get pushed out of the nest. And he went out and he founded the largest healthcare company in the history of the world, Columbia Healthcare. I told Rick, where should I go, Dan? I said, healthcare telco, which is now internet. And it's still you go and look at the 27 or 28 industries that are up in the last year, which I happen to predict all of them. 3 or 4 of the industries I thought were going to go up didn't go up, but for the vast majority. But I'm when you don't have to worry about selling people something, and I listen to BBC, CNBC, CNN, Fox, and Al Jazeera, which is the Middle Eastern, all day long. The TVs are where you can't see them, right there. Okay. And 18, 20 hours a day. So I have been like that for ever since they've had all these TV stations. And before that, I used to read 8, 9, 10, 11 newspapers a day. And I'm really up to date, and I've had corporate clients, which I don't do any corporate work anymore, hardly any. But I've had corporate clients, some of the biggest companies in the world. And because I give them the outside the box, not to blow smoke up their ass, real answer. And this seminar is very much like a real boot camp. We rip them down, and then we build them up, and we give them the tools. Most kids that come here, not just most kids that are listening to this, know how to use 1 or 2 or 3 of the financial instruments in the world. Okay, we show you how to use them all and lead them like in an orchestra. But there's only 2 or 3 that you need to worry about, and all the rest is bullshit. And most of the financial tools that have been invented or initiated by Wall Street, and that's why I came out of Wall Street, are there just to generate fees. That's it. There is no other reason. Yep. We've got a success fee, and an initiation fee, a transaction fee, a transfer fee. We've got that, and it's just to generate fees. And as I told a podster a few years ago when I first started doing podcasts, you have no idea what it is when you don't care what other people think and what freedom you have.
It's very powerful.
Yeah. And it just did. And
so what would you say is the most important trait for business success, in your opinion?
Candor.
Candor.
Real candor. Instant candor. Not let me think how I can convince you. Gut, instant candor. Jack Welch, which is arguably, in my opinion, the greatest CEO ever. He said, he says, and he's got his own university now. What the world lost was candor, because we're more worried about what people will think about us. And that's unfortunate. When I was at University of Toronto, I said, now just imagine if this had happened to you kids, and which I'll say at the universities later on this month. When I played athletics, I was a mediocre athlete, and that's given me some. Football coach Roy J said, "Pena, you're so fucking slow, you ought to wear the other team's uniform." Now, you can't talk to kids that way anymore.
Yeah.
Now just imagine, okay, when I was in the military, even after I became an officer, "Pena, you're the sorry excuse for a fucking officer in this man's army. How did we get you fucking wetback?" Because I'm Mexican, right? In fact, I'm first generation Mexican. My mother and grandmother swam across the Rio Grande River, and then I was born. And Pena, and I mean, when I tell kids like that, they fucking go bonkers. They'd have an iPhone, and I was the last kid in the state of California that got corporal punishment. May 1963, I was the last legally that got beat with a stick. I was the last.
What's a business roll-up? I guess I'm getting some questions.
A roll-up is, okay, let's say that pod fucks made money. Let's have a big stretch. Okay. And let's say that we're going to roll them up, because certainly podcasters are fragmented. There's a jillion of them, right? Okay. And let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they make a few dollars. Now I'm going to roll them up. Okay, so I'm going to buy 15, 20, 25, 30. I'm going to roll them into make a communication company. And if I can get into the tens or hundreds of millions in revenue, which is impossible because none of the pod fucks make that kind of revenue, I'm going to take them public, or I'm going to sell them to another communication company. I'm going to sell them to, so that's a roll up.
Okay.
Fragmented industries, and GM, IBM, virtually all, not all, but almost all of the Fortune 500 companies are a byproduct of roll-ups. General Motors is a classic. It's rolled up, 300 or 400 companies that become General Motors. Yep. And the money is being given away free right now. We have the lowest interest rates in 5,000 years. 5,000. And the big money, the smart money, like me, that's why the market is up. So because we know that the interest rates have got to go up someday. But for right now, they're not. And Trump doesn't want the interest rates to go up.
Yeah. Got to keep those things low. So if I want to purchase a business, do you recommend I just call the owner up and ask him for a meeting about selling it?
Well, first of all, pick the industry. You want big margins. Okay. Why do we want 30-40% gross margin in the business, not net, but gross, because none of us know how to manage worth of shit. And we're going to make mistakes. So you want gross margin. So if it's in a gross margin industry, you don't want to just buy one business. You want to buy a few. You want to take advantage of, you know, a law of large numbers. So you can buy insurance cheaper. You can buy, you know, all your supplies cheaper. Then after you've gone through that simple analysis, and it's all on my website free, then you determine whether the banks, the financial institutions, not private equity, financial institutions are in a lending mode. Do they like this industry, or is Chris the only guy that likes this industry? If Chris is the only one, forget about it. If the banks are lending, then you find out, you go in and have a preliminary meeting with the bank, and you find out, you know, in theory, if I had X, Y, Z, what would be the kind of lending parameters that you would look at favorably? And they tell you. Then you go to the meathead that owns the business. And hey, Mr. Meathead, you know, and you want a motivated seller. You want a motivated seller. Okay, his 9-year-old daughter just got knocked up. His wife just left him. He just had a stroke. Whatever it is, you want a motivated seller. And then you sit down and this is also on the website. You structure a deal that's favorable to you. And it might not be favorable to him, but it'll be acceptable to him because he's motivated.
Yep. Yep. We used to, back in the day when we had all of our companies, we used to run an ad in the paper offering loans to small businesses that were in trouble. And it was a great way to buy businesses. And we would either actually roll them up into our companies with their assets. And we usually were looking for the same thing a lot of real estate brokers look for. We're looking for people who are very asset rich, but they were cash poor. A lot of times they were entrepreneurs who had just stuck to their model until they'd run their business in the ground. They just need somebody like us to come in and go, you're doing it wrong. You need to leave. Here's a couple of bucks of cash. We'll take this over and we'll run this right from here on out. And we got really good at doing stuff like that. So yeah, it's a great business thing, because a lot of people, they actually have a great business. They're just too stupid to know how to run one properly.
Absolutely. And the sooner you don't necessarily have to. Now I do, but you don't have to say, you know, what are you, an idiot? You know, but you know, you can be a little more polished than that. But the sooner you get down to the short strokes, you don't waste time. And you know, 95% of the businesses that go up for sale yearly don't sell. And the reason they don't sell is the seller's asking for way, way, way too much money because he's trying to get wealthy off one transaction. You know, he either put all his money back in the business, or he didn't make any money in the business, and now it's time for him to retire for whatever reason, and he wants to get rich off one transaction. And that's not how life is. Wealth is built by a series of transactions. Unless you get lucky, you make $1 jillion off of one deal, and that does happen. And I would rather be lucky than smart, but and that does happen from time to time. But it's certainly nothing that you can. You can't live your life on a financial model that's based on serendipity.
So Tim Forrest sent me a few other questions for you. I guess millennials love you a lot. Is that correct? In
fact, it's funny. My demographic has changed in the last 10 years. It used to be 35 to 55. Now it's 15 to 35.
Oh, wow. 15.
The youngest we've had here at the seminar is 13. He came with his father and his grandfather.
Wow.
But we've had a number of 17-year-olds. In fact, we just had a teenager become a millionaire earlier this year in healthcare, who's become quite famous. But I mean, this seminar that we've got starting in a few hours is from 22 to 43. So there's a couple, this is a little older, but we got a number of guys and gals in their 20s and early 30s. And the reason, funny enough, all of my kids who are millennials don't really understand it, is that the kids can understand bullshit sooner now because information is almost instantaneous. So they can tell when somebody's full of shit. And so, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not full of shit. You might not like what I say, but you can't dispute that it's not truth about the financial numbers. You know, and when I sit down and I show the kids, how come I knew that stock market, I didn't know it was going to go up 5 trillion. I knew it was going to be the greatest expansion in wealth since World War II. Now I'm restating it. I believe if Trump gets into a second term, which is questionable, but if he gets into a second term, it'll be the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of mankind.
It probably will. We're not sure he's going to even survive the first one.
Yeah, well, I think he will, because if Nixon, who was really a crook, who I had now I've met 5 presidents, Nixon being one of them. I've met 5 secretaries of state. I've met a few prime ministers of various countries. But that doesn't mean shit. So what? So the old man's met all these people. What means something is I figured out a model a number of years ago that worked for me and works for meatheads. Whether you got a PhD from MIT or you got you're a 8th grade dropout. If you follow the fucking steps. If you don't follow the fucking steps, go swallow a fucking revolver, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Metaphorically.
I mean, but if you follow the steps, and we got a lot of kids, but it's hard. In the mentor program, I hold you very accountable. I mean, if I don't like what you're doing or you're not following the steps, I throw you out, because it's free. The mentor program is free, and I do it free because I may quit one day, I may get hit by a truck, or whatever. You never know. If Trump gets a second term, I may go and serve in his administration.
Well, there you go.
But we're a long way away from a second term. As you so aptly pointed out, we got to get him through the first term first. And he's testing people every day whether that's going to happen or not.
It's all up to Bob Mueller, I think, at this point.
Oh, yeah. And that's a whole other story. But
Tim wanted me to ask you, have you spent over $1 million with your tailor? And I guess he's probably that good.
Yes. I have.
That's just on that suit right there.
Okay, 200 suits at $10,000 a suit is how much?
That's a lot. I went to public school, so I'm not sure I know that math.
Okay. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Oh wow.
And
so,
I've spent $1 million on my health. There's a thing on my website right now. A guy that I have a lot of respect for, Jocko, who's an ex-CEO, blah, blah, blah. And every morning at 4:30 or so, he puts a tweet out where he shows where he's getting up at 4:30 and he's working out. And that's his motivation for you to get off your dead ass. So I had an idea a few days ago. Well, fuck, I don't get up that early, but I get up early, but I work out in the evening. I don't work out, but I get up and I take over 100 pills in the morning. So I put a picture of my vitamin pill and potion room, my hocus pocus room, on the website. I think it was this morning, and somebody came back and asked me, could I write a blog about it? No, I'm not interested in writing a blog. But I said that, how did you come up with this? And I said, 43 years of the finest doctors on the planet and testing my blood every 6 to 8 weeks for 43 years. Mm-hmm. And I told Dave Asprey, who I like, a lot of respect for him, who's some kind of hacker. What kind of hacker?
He's a life diet hacker. We're
whatever. And he said he brags to everybody he spent 300 grand. That's fucking chump change. I mean, 300 grand. Who gives a shit? I spent over $1 million. And I fine tune I've what do you call it? A trial and error. What's the least amount of weights in the proper format that I can do because I get big really, really easily. I used to be a heavy lifter 10, 15 years ago. And I used to weigh 285 pounds. Now I'm a slim down 230. And but I work at it, and like the seminar I'm going to give in a few hours, I could give the seminar in a coma. But I worked probably 80, 90 hours preparing for the seminar. Yeah. Updating it and doing various things. And the seminar we're going to have, for the first time, we're going to have some live feed, which the seminar parts of it are on YouTube. But we're going to have some live feed for the first time to test to see how the live feed goes. Yeah, I'm not so sure live feed is good for my seminar. We'll find out because we're going to start testing it tomorrow.
I can see that you have a lot of material on your website at the danpena.com. There's a lot of videos, a lot of stuff about the seminar and stuff on here.
Yeah. I mean, we have on my site, I think I have about 1,000 pages.
Mm-hmm.
About 1,000 pages. And we've got videos and all kinds of stuff, and all free. And and I've got some of the, examples of some of the my superstars. I got a lot of them. But I don't care about saving the world, kids. So don't come to me if you want to save the fucking world. Go fuck yourself. I mean, make a lot of money, then go save the world.
Then go save the world.
Yeah, but I'm not into that. Rich. So I'm in the spirit of candor and brotherly love. But if you're interested in making a lot of fucking money, generational wealth, and not $3, $4, $5 grand a month on e-commerce, selling some piece of shit off ClickBank, I'm the guy. There is nobody.
Awesome.
I am the guy.
Tim Forrest sent me another question. He says, how does someone renew their marriage vows at the North and South Pole? I guess there's a story there.
Yeah, which I did. I'm bipolar. Okay. Because I'm always straight. There's a thing on my site called Dan Does the Extreme, where I continue to try to stretch my comfort zone, which I just 2 weeks ago jumped 108 stories from the stratosphere in Vegas, which I mean is
you did the thing, huh?
Yeah, but a lot of guys do that. Yeah, but I have 2 artificial knees, new, and I have an artificial hip. And the odds were that if I didn't hit the landing exactly perfect, there was a 1 in 3. The best odds I had was 1 to 2 that I was going to dislocate my knees, because the artificial knees aren't built for hitting the ground at 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. And I did hurt myself. But nothing to speak about. But getting back to the North and South Pole. So my wife and I, 15 years ago, we started doing shit that, and unfortunately for most of the kids, it costs a lot of money. You don't just stroll up to the Antarctica. And Antarctica is on a mountaintop. Not many people know that. So you suffer from oxygen deprivation. And so we went up there, we renewed our vows. And then a couple of years ago, we went to the North Pole to renew our vows. But I've done a lot of crazy shit. But crazy shit all costs money.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there, and finger fuck with the computer, and do e-commerce $3,300 a month.
Mm. Yeah.
That dog doesn't hunt.
Yeah, I'm looking at your Dan Does the Extreme page on your website. Do at least one thing that scares you every day is a quote from you. That's
correct. And the kids have to respond to me, and they give me weekly reports.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a monthly Zoom call, or equivalent to this, where we talk, face to face, the whole group of 15, 20 kids. And we've had guys, for example, in the last year, we've had a guy lie naked on Madison and 56 in New York City, in the middle of the street. He didn't even get arrested. Okay. We've had a guy in Chicago a few months ago go into a Starbucks wearing just a diaper.
That's a Wednesday for me. That's pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And so, I mean, because we get complacent, we get satiated, and we don't do shit that makes you stretch anymore. And that's one of the reasons I jumped from the stratosphere.
I think you get extra Starbucks points for that too. That's double point
you
Starbucks.
Should, for sure.
Wearing the diaper. That's why Wednesdays are diaper days for me at Starbucks.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to take your word for that. I don't know that. But so, I mean, you look at the extreme, and I've done a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, raging. He's jumped off a dam to facing a raging buffalo head on.
I got run over by the buffalo.
Did you really? Oh my God.
Yeah. He put one hoof right where I have the artificial hip.
Oh wow.
And he put the other hoof where I have artificial collarbone and shoulder. But I chased him down. I got up. I chased him down in the jungle, a kilometer or so, and I killed him. But I'm firing, and I was using the largest handgun at that time, was a 4.54 console. I only had 5 bullets in it. So I'm firing, and then he finally got pissed off and turned around and charged, just like in the movies. And he fell dead at my feet because I'd expended all my bullets, fortunately, into him. But he had enough adrenaline left to fall at my feet. But this is after he ran over me a kilometer before. Yeah, so I've done some crazy stuff. But
you've done some crazy stuff. I'm looking over these videos that are on your site, and I'll have to go through them. But yeah, there's a whole mess. Dan versus the bear, the giant bear.
I killed the Kodiak Baron in Alaska, who's sitting in my trophy room. I slowed it down though. In full disclosure, I slowed it down with that same 4.54 console, and then I jumped on it with a Bowie knife and finished him off.
You might want to become the new world's most interesting man for.
Oh, I've had that comparison. That guy that does the Dos Equis deal, yeah. But he's emailed. He's a weenie. He's afraid of his own shadow.
Well, I think he's more of an actor than anything.
Yeah, but he may be interesting, but he's got no balls.
I hung out with him here in Las Vegas. He's very nice.
Oh yeah, I met him a long time ago.
But yeah, I think he's more actor than anything when it comes to it. So you might be a more genuine representation of the world's most interesting man from the sounds of it.
I'm more or less the genuine thing. And I used to be really crazy when I was younger, but I've slowed down. But my new thing is I tried to a couple years ago. I tried to jump out of space. That guy Baumgartner, that jumped from. Okay, I went to Red Bull. I went to the capsule. I did all the shit, but I'm too big to get in the capsule.
Oh wow!
Plus, I had no idea that there's 2 or 3 years of planning, and you got to get FAA approval and all this bullshit. I thought you just they built me a new capsule for $20 million. And I said, I'd rather pay the Ruskies and go up on a rocket for $20 million.
Well, that'll do the thing. So what else do we need to know about you, Dan? What else?
I'm 72 years old. I'm twisted steel and panther piss. I don't drink hardly at all anymore. During the seminar week, I will. I exercise every day. Unless I'm on a plane or something. And it's my only real relaxation time is on a plane. I don't do any work. I watch movies. I don't do any internet. And this is going to grab everybody. I have 3 cell phones. I don't use any of them. I don't talk to anybody on cell phones. Never.
So do you have assistants that do that, or you do?
Yeah, I have 4 assistants around the world.
Okay.
That keep my schedule, but I don't cell phones. My kids, when my parents were alive, my parents have passed on now, but they could call me. But if my cell phone rings, it's either the president, the Pope, or my kids. And I don't use them because I see guys and gals that are just so tied up with their cell phones that it runs their life instead of them running it. So I don't do that. Do you think
that's a real distraction that causes a lot of failure for people nowadays? They get sucked into social media. They get sucked into all these distractions.
Correct. I'm on social media a little, but not in the sense like I probably have. This is a Trump exaggeration, but I must have 500 requests on Facebook a day. I don't friend anybody. But I must have 500 a day, at least 500, maybe more.
Yeah. It looks like people can download a book from you. I can see here on your Twitter account, free How to $50 Billion ebook.
Oh yeah, ebook. It's a great ebook. It's free. It's a rough guideline, but the actual 7-step outlines on my website. I mean, the actual 7 steps. And I'm not going to write another book. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. And the reason why, for those of you that see me on Twitter, I have 85% or 90% of the stuff I put on Twitter every day are repetition, because there's only 15 or 20 things you got to know in life, and I put them day after day after day after day. And if you don't like it, fuck off. I don't care.
Well, success, they always say, is a simple process, and people overthink stuff and overcomplicate it.
Amen. And it is. And the really super high performance people I've been privileged to be around, I mean, they do 4 or 5 things well, super well, and maybe 1 or 2 absolutely terrific. And that's it. They don't do anything else.
Yeah.
And
focus on what you can do successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard.
The one thing I always see entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs doing is they always think that they have to wait until they have everything set up perfect and ready to go, and they spend years getting ready.
Correct.
Instead of just going.
Well, that's why I just say just fucking do it. Pull the trigger.
Yeah, just pull the trigger.
I failed at so many things. I could write 10 books on those. But the things that they talk about, or they ask me about, or write about, or the times that I've hit the Grand Slam home runs. My mentee that just did the $500 billion deal. I mean, see, I thought that would have generated more interest, but it's so far beyond the scope of the human mind to be given the task to build the first mega future city on the planet. And he doesn't have to look for money. Wow. And it was underwritten 2 days later by the International Monetary Fund. That's going to be, I mean, it's just unbelievable. He's going to bring the Middle East, i.e. Saudi Arabia, into not the 21st century, but the 22nd century. And I mean, that's just unbelievable. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
In fact, I can see, I think one of your proteges here, Brian Rose, I can see him.
Correct. London Real.
I can see Team Pena on here, also on Twitter. Looks like they have a Twitter account as well.
Yeah, in fact, Brian Rose is doing London Real is doing a documentary, which I'm going to the premiere of on the 30th of this month in London, which will be interesting to see what they say about me. I'm pretty sure I already know what they're going to say about me. Not everything's going to be kind either, but that's fine. That's fine. Brian really introduced me to social media. I discounted it, and he really and then of course Joe Rogan and a few other guys.
Joe Rogan does a really great podcast.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that opportunity. I'd love to be on Joe's show again. But I mean, it's a way to reach, in his case, millions of people.
Yeah. People really love these podcasts. They love tuning in and listening in for some reason. I don't know why, but they do really well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not, they're free. Most of them are informational, not all of them, but most of them are. And most people have a lack of information. I don't fall into that category, but I mean, most people do. And, but now, I mean, the social media is, now I'm not into Snapchat and all that. I don't do that shit. That won't be happening.
According to the recent Wall Street disclosure, I think last night, no one is. So.
Oh, okay. I mean,
their stock just took a huge dump last night.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. The kids, but I mean, the kids got to get focused more on I'm in the regret minimization business. I take people to make sure when they're my age, they've got fewer regrets than they've got now. And most adults that have kids, we talk about snowflakes. Most adults wish their kids weren't snowflakes because they realize it's going to be tougher for them going through life.
Now you've used the word snowflakes a few times. Let's talk about what that is and what that means to you, and what your attitude towards it is. What
snowflake to me is not because they're indecisive. They're decisive using the wrong rationale. Okay, they have based their experience. They have based their opinions on a lack of experience, not experience. How experienced, or how informed, even with the news being almost instantaneous, how informed can you be at 20? I mean, give me a fucking break. I can say that about 25 or 30, how informed can you be? And you can't. Now, the guys like Jack Welch and the other guys think that. They wouldn't say it. Yeah, I would, because I'm not selling anything, and I'm never going to write another book. So a snowflake to me is a young person. But I mean, there's old snowflakes. But you know, if you got a 40-year-old father and you're 18 or 20, and your dad was a wuss pussy that his mother slapped around, that's that generation snowflake. I don't mean physically slapped around. I don't mean physically.
So
but in some cases,
what's the best way not to be a snowflake anymore if you're a snowflake?
Okay, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Really? Okay.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. The 5 guys that you hang with, chill with, whatever those words. Bill Gates doesn't hang. Elon Musk doesn't hang. Steve Ballmer doesn't chill. They don't. They don't go to the fucking Super Bowl either. They don't watch it on the motherfucking TV either. I don't either. I mean, you know, I got better things to do on New Year's Day. Oh, they don't even play them on New Year's Day anymore. You know, all that shit. So I don't know when they play them now. I work 70, 80 hours a week still. Mm-hmm. I was telling everybody 50, 60 the last few years, and my wife calculates, says, Dan, you're lying to the kids. Here's a piece of paper. Oh, fuck, I'm still working 70, 80. When I was a young man like you, mm-hmm. I was 110, 120 hour a week man.
Wow. It's funny to me. I always found as our businesses got successful, I'd meet people and they'd be like, you know, someday I want to be like you. I want to be successful. That way I don't have to work anymore. And I'm like, you don't understand. That's not how it works.
No.
The more successful you get, the more you have to work just to sometimes even maintain.
Well, you know, whoever said it's hard to get to the top, but it's harder to stay there. Mm-hmm. It's a smart person.
Definitely is.
You know, and I've been from the penthouse to the shit house a couple of times, and I don't like the shit house. So I'd rather stay in the penthouse. And the snowflakes, you know, have trouble because they want to be liked. Mm-hmm. And that's what Facebook, the like thing about Facebook, why I think that's such a detriment to the kids. Mm-hmm. They want to be liked. Why? Well, you know, when you're 106 years old, if you live that long, you know, are you gonna value your life on how many fucking likes you had on Facebook?
You know, that's I like that analogy. Are you gonna be laying in your bed going, if only I got more likes?
Yeah. And I got a lot of likes. I mean, as Brian Rose said a few years ago, people either hate or love Dan, and most people love me because I don't give a fuck if they love me, and I don't care what they think about me. I don't care what they say about me, and I've been like that since a kid. Mm-hmm. And but my parents did almost all things right. Vis-a-vis self-esteem is built the first 7 years of life. Mm-hmm. And my mother and father, God rest their souls, by some planning and by some serendipity, did everything right. And my father didn't have a father. He died before he was born, just before he was born. So he raised me like the military. Mm-hmm. He had served in 2 wars. And my mom was nurturing, but my dad was hard as fucking nails. I mean, hard as nails. And now, you know, one of the questions we ask the kids that come to the seminar, have you ever been in a fist fight? Have you ever been disciplined physically by your parents? Do you think your parents are a pussy? 80%. My dad's a cunt. Okay. I wish they had beat me. The biggest regret I have is I was bullied and I never did anything about it when I told my dad he didn't do anything about it. Yeah. You have no idea. I'll tell you, this is a great story. We were at the Grand Canyon a few weeks ago, and they have a bridge that goes outside over the Grand Canyon, the glass thing, whatever. So we're there, and a Chinese couple was behind us in line. A girl about 6, a boy about 8. And when we get time to go out on the bridge, the father can't make it. He tries, he can't make it. So he waits and he goes around to where you're already gone around through the glass bridge over the Grand Canyon, and he's waiting for them at the other edge. His son and daughter approach their father. And if I live to be 1,000, I'll never forget the look in the son's eyes. Like, you fucking coward. He will never, that boy will never forget that instance. And I can't speak Chinese or understand, but I know the mother was trying to make it all go away. Mm-hmm. And the father, the look on him like, boy, why in the fuck that stupid Chinese guy brought him there? I have no idea, when he was a cunt. And the son just looked at him. He's never going to forget that look, ever.
Yeah.
My dad pussied out when all the other, he was the only fucking father that didn't go.
Yeah, it's an interesting generation that we have nowadays. The millennials and now the Gen Xers.
Yeah, one of the he's not even a Gen X because he's only 7, 8, 9 years old. One of the Dan does the extreme. We don't have to go through it now, but look at where my dad met me on a pier in Le Havre, France, with his literally stood up from surgery to go meet me, drive 300 miles, and my little arms are around him, blood everywhere.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking up. You're a stud, Dad. You're a fucking man. Whereas this other kid, you're a cunt. Dad. He doesn't use the pun, doesn't know the word cunt now. You're a weenie, Dad. He's going to be a weenie in the kid's eyes forevermore.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's definitely always interesting, the relationship you have with your dad. And
oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
I happen to, my dad was a super alpha male, rough fucker. Yeah. And my kids tell, well, I am an alpha male, but my kids are very successful, never been in trouble, well-educated. Now, well-educated, you don't have to go to school, multi-degreed, great schools. I mean, they're ripping the world apart, but I was a hard motherfucker on them.
Well, it sounds like you're a great guy to learn from, Dan, especially when it comes to business discipline and rocking and rolling.
Not so much loving your kids, though.
Well, I think there's love and there's tough love, I guess.
Oh, my dad invented tough love in the 50s. I mean, and he didn't do it like in the movies. This hurts me more than you, son. He didn't do it. He's just, I'm just making sure I hurt you so you remember.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the way you got to learn especially when you're a kid. You got to have some painful memories to go, man, I shouldn't do that. Yeah.
Yep. It's unbelievable.
Well, Dan, I don't want to take up your whole day, but I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate the opportunity. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know.
I certainly will.
It's all free on my side, meatheads. So please don't call me, don't write me, don't fuck with me. You can follow me on Twitter. I don't give a shit. And you can also I link in almost all meatheads, because if you can use my name on LinkedIn, God bless you. I don't want any business. I don't want any deals. I don't want any prayers. I don't want a fucking thing from anybody listening to this. Just go fuck yourself. But I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dan. Well, to everyone, check out his website. There's a lot of cool stuff on there, especially this Dan Goes to Extremes area. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. We certainly appreciate it. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button, go to patreon.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, and on TuneIn now. And thanks, Dan, for coming on the show. It's exciting to get to know you, and I'm going to go spend some more time getting to know you better and reading some of your materials, watch your videos on your website. All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a great time there with your seminar over in Scotland.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dan.